All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. If you're catching this later, well, I still want to say thank you for watching. Welcome to the Biblical Layman. My name is Ricardo Escobar. On this channel here, we do several things. One of the main things we do is talk about Reformed theology. Uh, you know, uh, Everything from covenantal theology to the TULIP, the acronym regarding soteriology. We talk all things Reformed theology, provisionism, exegesis, biblical understanding. That's really the main emphasis of this channel. And so, if this is your first time watching, welcome. Please feel free to subscribe, hit that like button. That really helps. Also, share the video. Really helps to get um, traction and more people, audience, and things rolling. So please feel free to share. Welcome. We're going to be having um, a very interesting discussion. A very interesting. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic. We're going to be addressing Warren McGrew, whose YouTube handle is Idol Killer. Now, Warren McGrew has, I would say, he he has a passion. He has a passion for talking against Calvinism. Specifically, I think the acronym TULIP, total depravity, unconditional election, irresistible grace, limited atonement, perseverance of the saints. I didn't say that in order, but you get it. Hey, particularly particular. Nice name. Hey, brother, how are you? Good to see you. And Warren, has had many videos on a specific topic that I want to address today. Original sin, total depravity. But I feel like recently with his debate with Rogue Calvinists, it has added flame to the topic. He's done I think 2 or 3 lives now, about total depravity. He continues to push the objections that he believes that he has towards total depravity, even though he's been told multiple times that his objections do not apply to total depravity. Um, Total depravity does not mean until or is not described by Reformed theologians as he explains it or as he believes it is. I believe that Warren is debating his own view of total depravity, which Reform theologians and those who are in the Reform camp do not subscribe to. I don't know if he's made this view up in his mind, if he believes that Reformed theology teaches a Manichaean Gnosticism type of view when it comes to original sin and nature and the human nature, the flesh and things like that. I'm not sure what in particular he's trying to debate, but it's not the Reformed view of total depravity. And he's been told that by so many people. He's been told that by several people who hold to Reformed theology, who are very well advanced and informed of the history of the acronym TULIP of total depravity, the canon of Dortz, who are very familiar with Francis Turretin, John Calvin, Augustine, um, and so many other reformers. He's been told that. And yet it seems that he continues to bring these objections that really aren't objections towards total depravity. And it saddens me because I see a lot of people following him down this path. Um, he's teaching them what he believes total depravity, what Reform theologians and those in the Reform camp uh, say about total depravity, about original sin. And it's unfortunately his audience doesn't seem to either want to know the truth or they seem to be ignorant of the truth. They're not doing their own research, right? Because again, his objections um do not apply to original sin, to total depravity, right? What are the objections? Let me name the objections. So the first objection is that God creates evil people, right? That original sin, total depravity would teach that God is creating evil people, right? He's creating people where, they're sinful, that sin is in their flesh, in their soul, is a substance that is attached to them. And so, he claimed on his debate with Roe Calvinists that Calvinists cannot subscribe or affirm Psalms 139, I believe it is, where David says, you knit me in the womb, I'm wonderfully made, things like that. His claim is that Calvinists cannot subscribe or affirm that. Now, I want you to think about that for 1 second. Theologians throughout centuries cannot and have not affirmed Psalms 139. Are you kidding me? Like, why wouldn't Reformed theologians affirm Psalms 139? Why would that be a problem for us? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. But for Warren and for so many that follow him, they truly believe that we can't subscribe to that we are in direct opposition to that verse, because we believe what the Bible teaches, which is original sin and total depravity. And so he claims that we can't subscribe to that. We can't affirm that, that we can't say that people are made in the image of God. They're beautifully made, woven together by God in the womb. And so that's, I guess, it's problematic for those who would subscribe to original sin, total depravity. So that's his first objection, is that the flesh, if original sin and total depravity, his view, not the Reform view, but his view of original sin, total depravity, if it's true, then we are created with evil flesh, God's creating evil people, basically, is the gist here. And now this leads to the next objection, which would be Christ took on our flesh. So if sin is a substance infused into the flesh or the soul, and God is not creating, wonderful people in the womb, but, people with an evil nature. And nature here, it seems that Warren would subscribe to evil being within the flesh, infused into the flesh, kind of like Gnosticism, like the Manichaeans here. So if that were true, then Jesus having our flesh, taking on our flesh, he would be evil, or would have an evil flesh, an evil, I guess you can say, substance and soul, or something to that extent, is his objection. And so they kind of go into one another, right? Will you be quoting Bob Inc? Hey, servant of Christ, how are you? Yes, I will be. Right now, look, I have Louis Burkhoff right now. Great theologian. We're gonna be, yeah, definitely Bob Inc. I have Bob Inc. I have all of these individuals. And I actually am piling up a bunch of quotes where they address this very issue that Warren wants to bring up over and over again. And speaking of quotes, actually, we have to talk about that too. But before we get there, I want to finish my thought here. Okay, so Jesus taking on our sinful nature, right, or taking on our flesh, okay, means that he would be created evil, and that's problematic to the incarnation. And so, yeah, those are two of the objections. And what's interesting is that in his debate, he even pointed to his flesh. He went like this, pointing to this thing, which I think, again, he's completely misunderstanding total depravity. Either that, or, I don't want to assume any motives, but again, he's been told, yes, I reference the ones that can't be. Yes, I reference the ones. Yeah. Okay. Are you talking about on Twitter when he posted the quotes? Is that what you're referring to here? The one that he just posted this past week? I don't know what you're referring to, servant of Christ, but yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to be addressing that here as well, because I don't think there's been enough accountability, to be honest. He's been confronted about that. So let me finish out with my thought. I'm going to get to that. So Jesus taking on our nature would be problematic under original sin and total depravity, which again, is not the original, is not the view that we hold, that Reformed theologians hold. And I think it's funny that people would be falling into this idea that those in the reform camp would believe that Jesus would take on an evil nature, that sin would be a substance infused, and so Jesus would have an evil flesh and nature, and so we're created evil as well. It's interesting to me that for centuries theologians have been dealing with these issues, and instead of doing proper research, instead of looking into it, the audience, Warren's audience, looking into it, I think they're kind of blinded by their, I don't want to say hatred. I think that's too strong of a word, but their strong opposition towards Reformed theology. Towards Reformed theology, they have such a strong disposition towards it that they're kind of just listening to him and going along. And I'm not sure if they're questioning what he's saying, if they're doing their own research, if they're talking to those who are in the reform camp about these topics, but they need to be doing that because Warren knows. Enjoy that baptism video you made, brother. I made a baptism video. Oh, you're probably talking about servant of Christ. Okay. So I made a baptism. Cool. A lot of people are just going along with what Warren is saying, and are they questioning these things? Because it's funny to me how many people would believe that individuals like us who are in the reform camp would teach such a horrible doctrine of sin being a substance infused into the soul, no understanding that Jesus himself took our nature, understanding Psalms 139, particular says fearfully and wonderfully made is about Christ primarily. The Psalter shouldn't be read individualistic. I agree there. Servant of Christ in particular, yes indeed. Yeah, I agree. But I'm just shocked by the amount of people just heading down this path, and how many are questioning these things, right? Which brings me to what Servant of Christ was mentioning here in the chat. This past week, I made a post on Instagram, and this is what started. This. I referenced Warren's objection about ontology, right? That original sin, total depravity, he says, is about ontology. And so it's about, this flesh here, this and the soul, and sin being infused. So I said, Warren, here, I'm going to read it because I don't want to. This is what I said. I said something like, let me see. Where is it? 1 second. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yep. So it's thanks for the misconception. Okay. Oh, wait. Does Warren affirm? Okay, I can't find it, but basically it was something to the extent where I said, total depravity, original sin is not about ontology. Yeah, no, I can't find it anymore. But anyways, it's not about ontology. That's not what we refer to when we talk about original sin and total depravity. He then responded to my post with three quotes from three Reformed theologians. Okay. And the three quotes from these Reformed theologians all mentioned ontology, sin, and it being ontological. Hold on, I really, gosh, where is this? Where's this post? Especially Chris. Sorry, guys, I'm really want to find this because this is really crucial. These quotes here. Okay, I think this is it. Okay. Wait. Is this it? Yes. I found it. Okay. So I said, Idol Killer has been told multiple times total depravity is not about ontology, and yet he continues to teach it. Does this prove, is he proving his view of total depravity by not accepting the truth, or is he proving our version of total depravity by not wanting to accept the truth? So basically, yeah, I was addressing the ontological thing, right? That's not what it's about. And the fact that he continues to object to total depravity and original sin by talking about ontology and this flesh, the nature, a sin being infused, a substance, and being born evil and things like that. Is he affirming his view of total depravity or our view? Because even though he's been told over and over again, he continues to teach the same thing. He just had a live yesterday or 2 days ago with the same objections, with the same thing over and over again. And so under my post, he got 3 quotes. Let me read you the quotes. One was from Bavink. The corruption that has permeated human nature is not a mere ethical or moral blemish. It affects the very essence of man's being. It is ontological, affecting the core of our existence. Okay, did you hear that? So he quoted this from Herman Bavinck, Reformed Dogmatics, excuse me, Volume 3, Sin and Salvation in Christ. And I found it very interesting because, again, total depravity, original sin by the Reformed camp is not about ontology. We affirm that we are made in God's image. We are wonderfully made by God. And so it caught me off guard at first. So I began to look. I downloaded Herman Bavinck's Reformed Dogmatics, Volume 3, Sin and Salvation in Christ. And I did a word search and I could not find this quote. So I asked some friends of mine. I said, "Hey, can you guys help me find this quote?" They went on their logos, however you want to say it. And they did a research as well on Herman Bavinck, and they went not just to Volume 3, but they went through all the volumes, and they could not find this quote. But this is not the only quote that Warren gave us. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, I don't know why I'm only seeing one. Okay. So here's another one from Cornelius Van Til. Sin is not something accidental or external to human nature, but belongs to the very essence of our being. It affects all aspects of our existence, not just our actions, but our very nature. Okay, so here there's a lot of terminology that needs to be defined. You have accidental, human nature. What does Cornelius mean by human nature? You have nature, actions, affects all aspects of our existence. So there's a lot here to throw this quote. But this quote also could not be found. A couple of people tried to find the quote, they couldn't find it. And then the last quote was by Anthony Huckema, and he says, hopefully I pronounced that right. This is in his the quote supposedly comes from Created in God's Image. That's the book where this quote comes from. Original sin is not just a moral failing, but an ontological reality. It represents a fundamental dislocation in our being, a corruption that affects our very essence. Okay. And then after he quoted these 3 theologians, Reformed theologians, under my post that I made, he said, "Tell me again how you don't understand Calvinism." That's what he said to me. He said, "Tell me again how you don't understand Calvinism." So again, these quotes were odd. How can these Reformed theologians be talking about original sin and total depravity in an ontological, metaphysical way? That's just contrary to what the Reformed theologians in camp teach. So we looked up the quotes. I could not find them anywhere. I had friends of mine. My hands messing up. I had friends of mine who were looking for them as well, and they could not find them. So finally we asked him, we kept pushing him, "Hey, can you tell us, where did you find these quotes? Because the author's there, the book is there, but there's no page number. Can you tell us where?" He ends up saying that he found them off the web. Let me read you what he says here. Yeah, I got them off the web. I've been super busy and have to try and find them again. I didn't verify them, and I'm hoping I don't end up with egg on my face. Well, he did end up with egg on his face, and he's been super busy, but he's been doing a lot of lives. And so, and I know he's got other things going on, and I respect that, and that's fine. But I mean, if you're going to provide 3 quotes from Reformed theologians supporting your objection to our view, I'm not our view, but to the doctrine of to the Reformed doctrine of original sin and total depravity, you know, you may want to take some time to make sure that these quotes are real and not just pull them off from the web, and then just throw them out there and then claim that I don't know Calvinism, or that Calvinists don't know Calvinism. We don't understand what we teach. We don't understand what we believe. I mean, that's a very bold claim. And so, yeah, he got egg on his face. He ended up saying that he found them, but that he was going to try to find them. And then a couple other people were like, hey, we can't find them. We can't find them. We've Googled. Finally, he said, let me tell you what he ended up saying. Where is it? Where did you go? I may not be able to find this one. Yeah, I got super busy. Yeah, basically he said they might not be true. Um yeah, he said basically not be true, but that his objection still stands, which is interesting to me. Hold on. One second. Yeah, no, so I can't find them. But basically, he said his objections still stand, which I don't know how his objections still stand. Um, hold on. Let me see. I think, yeah, no, I couldn't find it. But how can the objection still stand if if these quotes don't prove what he is trying to prove? They don't prove his position. They don't support his position. And furthermore, he's been told by several people that original sin and total depravity was never about the infusion of sin into the soul, into the flesh, or that we are that God is forming evil people, right? That was never a thing. So, but now I want to transition. I want to read from Louis Berkhoff. This is um a book I'm going through right now on this topic, and I think he has some exquisite things to say on the topic, especially about the ontological nature here. So I've highlighted a couple things. I just want to read them to you. Um, so this is about so the way Louis Berkhoff breaks up his when he talks about sin in the life of the human race. When he talks about original sin, okay, he starts off with original sin, and then within original sin, he says that original sin can be broken up into two elements. He says original guilt and original pollution. And so I want to read about original pollution, and I want you to listen what he says about the ontology, the metaphysical, okay, in relation to original sin. Listen to this. He says original pollution includes two things, namely the absence of original righteousness and the presence of positive evil. It should be noted the original pollution is not merely a disease, as some of the Greek fathers and the Armenians represent it, but sin in the real sense of the word. Oh, wait. Okay. Original pollution is not merely a disease, as some of the Greek fathers and the Armenians represent it, but sin in the real sense of the word. Guilt attaches to it. He who denies this does not have a biblical conception of original corruption. I completely agree. There's a lot of people today, right now, who don't have a biblical sense of original corruption. And then he goes on to say this, and this is where he talks about the ontological metaphysical. He says, number two, that this pollution is not to be regarded as a substance infused into the human soul, nor a change of substance in the metaphysical sense of the word. This was the error of the Manichaeans and of Pelagius in the days of the Reformation. If the substance of the soul were sinful, it would have to be replaced by a new substance in regeneration. But this does not take place. This is very important to understand, because essentially what Warren is telling people that reform theology, specifically with the acronym TULIP, the T here, what it teaches is that in order for us to be free from sin, we need a new soul or a new body, right? As Louis Berkhoff says, if the substance of the soul were sinful, it would have to be replaced by a new substance. So we would need a new body. We'd have to be delivered from this body physically to a new one, because sin would be infused into the very soul and flesh. Okay. And so that would be very problematic. And I'm concerned that so many people, and Warren himself, believe that this is what we teach, that essentially we need to be delivered from this mortal body. And as Louis Berkhoff pointed off, that was Manichaeanism. That was That was their error. And I think what Warren is trying to do is to attach the reform view of original sin, total depravity, and or the doctrine of original sin, total depravity, and attach it to Manichaeanism, and he's attacking that. And he just labeled it, oh, that's what Calvinism teaches. Um, but the argument is still good. Okay, bro. Yeah, yeah, that's what he says. That's what he said. He said my objection still stands, and I'm like, how does it stand? Your people are literally telling you we're saying the opposite. There, there are Reformed theologians who say the opposite of what you're saying. How does it stand? But anyways, Warren is telling people that we are basically we are teaching this idea that we need to be delivered from this body. Like, that's crazy, and people are eating it up. People are eating it up, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's their disposition against Reformed theology, against Calvinism, or what's going on. But it's very bad. It's a huge misrepresentation. It also, why are you still doing it when you've been told that that's not what we hold to? Like, and one of the things I've heard him say is, well, if you don't hold to this, then it doesn't apply to you. His objections don't apply to you. But then don't label it Calvinism, because I'm a Calvinist and your objections don't apply to my view of original sin and total depravity. But if you keep saying this is what Calvinists teach, this is what Reformed theologians teach, then people are going to think that I teach that and that other people who are Reformed teach that. And we don't, as Louis Berkhoff says. He goes on to say that number 3, that Louis Berkhoff says this, that it is not merely a privation. In his polemic with Manichaeans, Augustine not merely denied that sin was a substance. Did you hear that? Augustine denied that sin was a substance. Augustine denied that sin was a substance, but also asserted that it was merely a privation. Yes. So yes, okay. So Louis Berkhoff here, talking about Augustine and the Manichaeans, Louis Berkhoff, just like Augustine, deny that sin is a substance and that it's infused into the soul, so that what we need is to be delivered from this body. Guys, it should, why people are listening to what Warren is saying on this topic is beyond me. Okay, this is just Louis Berkhoff. I want to move on here to, I got another person I want to quote. This is John Calvin, the man himself, John Calvin. And I want to quote what he says here. One of the things that I recommend every anti-Calvinist, anyone who has a strong disposition towards Calvinism, to read the Institutes, especially just this subject. Just read on this subject. I think it would be super beneficial to you. It would be super beneficial to you to learn what we actually teach, and not just go off of what Warren thinks we teach. So let me read this to you. So let's see here. Okay, this is what Calvin says. This is from page 37 of his Institute. Listen to this. We contend that man is naturally perverse and corrupt, but that his perversion is not in him by nature. It's not in him by nature. It is not, we affirm, by nature, in order to demonstrate that it is an additional trait acquired by man, rather than a quality belonging to the substance implanted in him from the beginning. Nevertheless, we term it natural, so that no one should think that it is something we come by through faulty custom, or example, since it enfolds all of us from the moment of birth. So John Calvin here says we deny that it's a quality belonging. We deny that it's a substance implanted from the beginning. He goes on to say, so Augustine does not scruple, because of our corrupt nature, to call natural the sins which inevitably reign in our flesh when we are without God's grace. The distinction we have drawn refutes the folly of the Manichaeans who, picturing man's essence as perverted, claim that someone other than God created him so as to not make God the source of evil. So the Manichaeans were claiming that someone else was creating humans because humans were created, they were made up, in their flesh, their substance was evil, and God is not the source of evil. So the Manichaeans were teaching this, which sounds similar. No, not similar. It is exactly what Warren is teaching, that that human beings are being created evil, that God is creating evil human beings. That's what Manichaeans were teaching, but they believed it was someone else, not God. But Calvin is saying here, Augustine and the reformers did not teach this idea that sin is a substance infused and that God is creating evil people. I mean, even the Manichaeans who believe that sin was infused in a substance in the humans from the beginning, even they didn't believe that God was creating evil people. They believed someone else. John Calvin says the Manichaeans, picturing man's essence as perverted, claim that someone other than God created him so as not make God the source of evil, right? So the Manichaeans couldn't ascribe to Psalms 139, okay, because they claimed someone else was creating humans, not God, since humans were created evil. But John Calvin is saying no. Even though Augustine and the reformers use the word natural or nature, we don't use it in the same manner. It's not a substance, it's not infused. God is not creating evil people. And so, right here, guys, just these two theologians, and there are so many more we can quote, already defeats Warren's objection that total depravity, original sin, teaches that God is creating evil people. And if you connect the dots, it defeats his other objection about Christ taking on our flesh, right? Because if total depravity and original sin, hey, what's up, Twitchy Theologian? How are you? Thanks, brother. It's good to see you. If it Warren's objections to total depravity of the flesh, right? I just read Louis Berkhoff, I just read John Calvin, and they both quote Augustine, right? They just defeated Warren's objections because they don't teach what Warren says they're teaching. And that connects to Christ taking on our flesh and our nature, okay? So two of the objections, just from reading and quoting Louis Berkhoff and John Calvin, already defeat two of the objections. And there are so many more. In fact, let me just read a couple from my friend Edwin. I want to because Edwin, this guy, shout out to Edwin if you ever see this. Though I was hoping to talk about. Okay, so he's on Twitter. If you don't follow Edwin Nunez, you need to. If you're on Twitter, you need to follow this man. He's so good. Let me read you some things he says here. Let's see. Okay, here's Charles Hodge. Charles Hodge, a Reform. Who the some were to whom Charnock refers, oh my gosh, my tongue. Charnock refers as holding that the substance of Adam's soul was corrupt by the fall, we know not. All we know is that such is not the doctrine of any respectable body of Calvinists, nor any standard writer on the subject. Okay, so that's Charles Hodge. Voss, Gerhard, oh my goodness, I can't say this one, but Voss, everybody knows Voss. Sin is not a substance that is infused into the human soul, nor a change of substance in the metaphysical sense of this word. This was the error of the Manichaeans and of Flacius at the time of the Reformation. So that is a quote that is similar to what we read with Louis Berkhoff, where Louis Berkhoff said, this pollution is not to be regarded as a substance infused into the human soul, nor a change of substance in the metaphysical sense of the word. This was the error of the Manichaeans and Flacius in the days of the Reformation. So I'm hoping this is just a little of the many quotes from Reformed theologians, of the many reformers that you could speak to that will tell you that they deny that sin is a substance infused into the soul, into the flesh. And Warren's objections hold no water whatsoever. He only thinks they do because he is debating or trying to um I don't want to use the word destroy, but he's trying to combat the doctrine of the Manichaean, maybe the Manichaean version of total depravity, original sin, or whatever it is they taught. Whatever view they taught of sin into the soul and the human nature. But it's not the Reformed view. And I think part of the issue of why, even though he's been told this many times, he continues to teach the same thing is because if he understands, if he were to accept the fact that Reformed theologians do not hold to this view, he has no objections. He has no objections. He'd have to go back to the drawing board, and the objections he's been using for so long be for nothing, because this is not what Reformed theology teaches. Now, there is one more objection he has, but I'm not going to address it on this video. I don't like to do too long of videos. It's already almost 40 minutes. But guys, if you were on the stream, or if you're watching later, or if you come upon this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. It would be great if you could help me get there. I would really appreciate it. In the meanwhile, everybody that's in the chat, go subscribe. Subscribe if he subscribe to his YouTube channel, Servant of Christ. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, and of course, my buddy, the Twitchy Theologian, subscribe to his channel. He has some great content on there regarding original sin, total depravity, predestination, provisionism, all things Reformed theology. These gentlemen, I really look up to them and enjoy their content. They're great brothers in the Lord. They're doing great work. And so, the support, the support needs to be there. We need to support one another. And so it needs to be there. So go subscribe, go like, share the videos. Let's get these videos out there. We need to start, just dropped a new song today. Do you sing? Do you play music? What? This is new. I'm gonna have to hit you up about this. I gotta hear this. Is it on YouTube? Is it on Spotify? You're gonna have to let me know. You have to let me know, Twitchy. But guys, go support. There's a lot of people doing some great stuff. And I know personally more is coming. More stuff's coming from great brothers, Reformed brothers, theologians. So go subscribe. It's on YouTube. I have not heard your music, Twitchy. I have not. I didn't know it was on YouTube. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to go check it out, dude. You're a rapper. Oh, no. I love rap, bro. Bars. I love bars, wordplay, metaphors. I love hip hop music, bro. Flow patterns, pockets. Man, yeah, I love that. I wish I could rap. I mean, I write songs, but I don't rap. I'm not a rapper, but I do love bars. That's one of my favorite things. Okay, so I don't want to keep you guys on too much longer. I just want to say thank you so much. Please keep the conversation going in the comments section. If you disagree with anything that I said, I have a lot of people that come on my channel and disagree and have strong words. So yeah, I welcome them. Go into the comment section. Let's have a conversation. Until next time, guys. And Warren, if you watch this video, I'm begging you to stop bringing these objections to the Reform view of total depravity and original sin, since they aren't really objections. They don't apply to us. It's not what we teach. So if you want to go back to the drawing board, go back to the drawing board. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good night. Check out Twitchy's music. I'm about to go check it out right now after this live stream, because I want to hear this guy rap, see what he's got. But all right, until next time, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you.